Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the TL2840CC from Sunwayfoto. This is the tripod right here. As you see it, I've decided to top mine with an EB52 ball head. That does not come with this tripod, but you could order it at the same time from most retailers or from Sunwayfoto. What you're not going to get is a rock bag. That's something you would have to purchase separately. Thankfully, they are pretty affordable. They're downright cheap actually, but these are really well made, high quality, sewn well, good Velcro, can hold a good amount of weight, and they are tri-part. They have 3 sections divided off so you can put your tech, your brass, and a weight in them. There's also a weight hook on the bottom of the center post, but that aside, that's something it's not going to come with, and it's not going to come with these hand warmers. In Minnesota, like right now, it's 15 degrees out, so it's a little bit warmer than it has been, but it's not going to come with hand warmers on top of it. Again, these are super affordable. Go on Amazon or one of the retailers where you buy camera equipment perhaps. They sometimes sell these as well, but I purchased mine on Amazon. These were not sent to me. These particular warmers right here were something that I just wanted. I thought they were good quality, and I really like the grippy texture of them, so that's a little plug right there. Again, they didn't send that to me, just the tripod and some of the other features that you're going to see here. Those are things they sent, but the rock bag itself and the hand warmers, the head, the ball head, those don't come with it. What it does come with are different feet. I have spike feet on right now. I really like spike feet a lot. In Minnesota, I really got into tripods just in the last couple of years. I was not familiar with tripod shooting previously, so this is newer to me. And forgive my ignorance, but I didn't realize how big of a deal that spike feet would really make in a lot of situations. I don't like them on concrete per se, especially because it'll mar up concrete, but on grass, on rocks, like a sandy ground, it works really well with that. I don't see too many places where it doesn't work, and when it's icy, which the underlayer of most of what you see here is a layer of ice, unfortunately, the ice, it really works well. It grabs, it digs in, and whether I'm using it just for spotting purposes, which is more so what this tripod is good for me, or if I'm actually shooting off of it, proned out somewhere, this really grabs and engages. They did really a good job with the feet overall, and they are also watertight if it matters to you. The way that they engage, even though this is a flip style, latch style, and not the barrel with a twist, even though it's that kind, the feet themselves are watertight. They have little O-rings in them, and so especially if you have one of their waterproof series, that's a big deal. Water cannot transfer up from the bottom, so that's cool. And it's going to come with those extra set of feet. Comes with a nice bag as well, a carrying bag. That's something they always do really well. I don't think the carrying bag will fit a ball head in there unless it's a smaller size ball head. A big ball head like this one, this is a very robust, heavy duty ball head from Sunwayfoto. You could shoot off this ball head very well, or put a heavy camera load on this ball head. When it comes to the style of leg expansion mechanism, there are different kinds, and this one is not a twister. If you're familiar with this kind right here, so that's a twister on this 3640. It's another Sunwayfoto product, but this one right here is a different mechanism. So this right here, in order to expand or retract, this mechanism is going to do that for you, and these are adjustable. It's a little bit tricky to show you, but inside there is hardware. If you can see that shiny hardware, that's an Allen inside of there. There's 2 of them actually, and there is a split in between so that they can independently tighten proportionately on the different leg sections here. And so if you feel like they're a little too tight, or if you feel like they're a little too loose, maybe the weather changes and changes the metal, things shrink or expand depending on temperature. So if you just need to touch those up from season to season, you could do that, and you could do it independently depending on the leg portion that you're on. So that's a really good idea. Seems like a good design. And this right here is really nice, especially working with camera gear. I like using this type of expansion on camera tripods, and so really cool. I think this in itself is maybe not as weatherproof as some of the twister designs. Again, looking at the 3640, these are basically weatherproof, and I would say this style right here is more weather resistant. Not weatherproof, but weather resistant for sure. All right, so this review is going to be pretty brief this time. If you want to see more shooting and demonstration, check out all of my other tripod videos where there's a lot more usage. heavy usage. Because this is more dedicated for me towards camera work and spotting, you're not going to see quite as much footage with it because it's usually what the camera is on. Right now the camera is actually reversed. It's on my shooting tripod, which is filming me with something I like to use for my filming. And so this is pretty good for filming. You know, I'm 6'5", and this tripod is a little too short for me to shoot off of unless I'm sitting, and then it's perfect. It's just fine because I don't need to use the extra center post, which is really not ideal for shooting. Typically you don't use a center post to shoot off of because all that weight is transferred to this right here, the stem. If it's latched down, if it's all the way down, the center post would not be such a big deal. But again, in order to fluid that piece there, there's a latch in the middle. So it's just a little unique. It's a little different for shooting off of. Yes, you could definitely do it with lighter weight rifles and not have any concern, or average weight hunting rifles. You could put an SM86 on here, which I've done several times. In fact, when I put this up, if I have an SM86 on top of this and then my rifle, it becomes much more doable for me, actually, even though I'm 6'5", with those two to get up to my optic, and I can get comfortable behind the tripod with those additional features, and I could shoot off of it. But again, I'm not going to be loading it with a real heavy loadout just because the center column is not designed for heavy weight. You know, when we're talking about 20, 25 pound rifles, things like my Ruger Precision Magnum, that's not an ideal loadout for this because it's so much shock and transfer that I think you would have issues with the center column post. But if it's all the way down and perhaps you're in a sitting position, you're not running this all the way out to the smallest diameter of the leg, you stick to the thicker diameters of the legs, you're sitting, maybe moving the leg position out a little further just to get that full support. Yeah, it's better. It's definitely better. I feel really comfortable shooting 22 off of it. I feel comfortable shooting my pellet guns and ARs off of it. And the ball head itself, like I said previously, it is a heavy duty ball head. I have no concerns about this with weight restriction. It's more so the center column and any movement with that. That being said, one thing that's really nice about having a center column, especially for camera work, guys, this is really where it shines for me, is if I'm trying to, you know, finesse or get a fine-tuned shot where height matters a lot, using a typical 3-leg design that just fold out like a typical tripod does, if that's the only range of motion you have, and then adjusting up and down on the legs, it's hard to get it exactly level, exactly right. I use a gimbal, and so it's not as much of a deal, but it's nice for me. It's so much smoother and faster to have these two features right here. To have the adjustable center column, I can get it right to where I want it to be. If I'm talking with somebody else in the frame and I want to get the height the right way, it's really nice just to be able to bump it down a little bit and work with that. And then also having this pan feature, you know, obviously my head also has a pan feature. This EB52 can also pan, can loosen up. Pan's really nice, actually. This is a very smooth ball head. So that can pan, but perhaps if you didn't have a pan feature on your ball head for whatever reason, you could use this, and this is very smooth. I will say the function of this rotation going around, it's extremely smooth. It's very consistent resistance. That's what you want to see. If you're doing camera work, you know, a lot of times if you look at my panning shots in my earlier videos, they would be like this, kind of jerky going by, because I was struggling with my old tripods and really poor quality heads, honestly, to get a panning shot. But with these, if I grab onto it and I just move it, it is so smooth and it's consistent. So those of you who are content creators out there, if you're looking for a better ball head and tripod combination, here's something that is unique. You're not going to see this in a lot of other tripods out there. This feature alone right here with the center column adjust might fulfill some of the needs that you have for producing content, and especially if you're shorter, this could fill more roles for you. Again, I'm 6'5", but a 5'10" guy is not going to have as many limitations as I have, just being a big, tall guy. Another thing I really like about this tripod is it's lightweight. It is the 2840CC, and so the 28 is the designation for the thickness of the tube. And I think a 28 is an excellent size for really lightweight jobs. I mean, carrying this thing around, it is so light, even with this very heavy ball head. Sunwayfoto actually sells a lightweight, small, kind of micro ball head. If I was going to do more camera work with this, I would actually probably consider buying the micro ball head for average weight cameras, you know, things like 7 pounds and under. I would grab that and put it on here, and you have a very small footprint, very lightweight, capable tripod that you can weigh down. It can handle some weight with the gear hook underneath. That's one thing I really like a lot with camera tripods. Even though I have a bag on this model, it's mostly just to show you what I'm doing with this bag right here. It's usually on my gun tripod, but having a center column so I can hook a bag under there, backpack, a weight to counterweight to balance it out. That's a nice feature, and I think this is a really good design. Stuff doesn't slip off it too easy. The wind doesn't move it back and forth, and I've been able to put a reasonable amount of weight on this tripod. I'll get it sunk in the snow here. I've been able to put a reasonable amount of weight on this tripod, even though it's a 28. And so if you're looking for something that is for spotting, maybe a little bit of shooting, not a huge amount of heavy work, not PRS stuff, but more just maybe you're sitting and shooting a hunting situation. If you want to put that SM86 from Sunwayfoto, it's a clamp that it's kind of a universal clamp for most rifles. If you want to grab something like that and put it in your hunting blind, again, lightweight, easy to carry, small footprint comparably to like normal shooting tripods, competition tripods, that's where I think this shines the best. A couple features you're going to see on a lot of Sunwayfoto products, and it's definitely here, on the actual leg adjustment feature. These lock out. I like that. A lot of them, you know, like this is spring release. It'll go back. It'll snap into place. I like the spring feature. Some of them are just spring, and if it's just a spring, sometimes it's a little finicky. I like ones that lock out, and if I go ahead and loosen this up a little bit here, I can just show you as you go out to further locations, it will lock in like that automatically to the furthest, widest pan or shot. Sometimes I like to keep it like this if I'm trying to get a really low shot to the ground, or I'm panning against a rifle that's laying on the ground. This is one thing I like to do for my camera work. Another really great feature for that is if you're chronographing and you're trying to shoot off the ground with a chronograph, sometimes you need a tripod that can get really low, and this can actually pan or flatten out rather all the way, just about. The only limitation is that center column, which you could lift up, and I like to use that. So if you're a lab radar guy, this might be something that is for you. You might like that. Another thing I like is just having the adjustability for more than one angle. It's not just the extreme of flat and then whatever the degree is for standing. You have one more position in there for what I would say is more so like sitting, hunting, sitting positions. If I want it really braced out and I'm squatting, kind of doing an Indian squat, this really gets it forked out wide. And with these feet that I have on it right now, the sharp spike feet, it grabs into the ground really well. And when I do shoot off of it, if I'm just shooting my 223 or my 22, it resists any movement. Carbon fiber is really great about absorbing a little bit of vibration as well. That's one reason I moved from anything aluminum for tripods and pretty much exclusively carbon. Carbon fiber is lightweight, it reduces vibration, and it's really, really strong. In Minnesota, it gets very cold. It gets sub-zero all the time, and I've dropped these a couple times when I'm like carrying way too much crap into my house. I've dropped them on the ground when they've been out in sub-zero temperatures. That's my main concern with carbon fibers. I don't want it to shatter or break, and I have never had an issue with any of them. I've loaded them out really, really heavy, and I've put way too much weight on them, and they haven't slipped on me. That's another really great thing. These are the latch style, they're not the barrel style. I think the twisters or the barrel style, I think they're probably rated for more weatherproof and weight. I think they just engage a little tighter than some of these, but if you're not putting a heavy load on here, which you shouldn't be because of the center column, I don't think there's a issue or a problem with having this. If you need something that's totally weatherproof, again, I'm going to say this probably isn't the one for you, but there are so many other models of Sunwayfoto products. There's so many other models of tripods that do have weatherproof with twisters or barrel style release leg adjustment, and so you wouldn't have to just go for this model. If you like the lightweight design, if you like a center column design, they have other kinds that have twisters. In fact, I have a video of some of their Traveler series. Go ahead and check that out if that interests you. Otherwise, this one, it may have some limitations, but it still has a place on the market. And I think a lot of people who are doing spotting, who aren't overly tall, maybe some light hunting from a lower position, or perhaps just camera work in general, they're the people who are going to enjoy this and see the features and understand how to use them. All right, I'm going to take the head off of this. Again, this is the EB52. Does not come with a tripod, but you could certainly buy this. Most places that sell Sunwayfoto products are also going to sell the EB52 head. Have a review on that. Go watch that if you are interested. The top of this is a cool design. So this right here, you'll notice that that is actually lifting or retracting the 3/8 head inside. So when I drop it down, there's some knurling on this. This disc right here is well designed. Also has a place for inserts. It is threaded. So when I lift, I could actually go ahead and lift this out and show you that there is a reversible piece of hardware in here. It actually has a 1/4 inch up to a 3/8. You could drop that in depending on the type of head that you want to get installed, and then tighten this down. Oopsies, there we go. And then tighten this down. It will retract if that's the amount of threads that you need for a 1/4 inch attachment or a micro head. I know mini heads sometimes use 1/4 inch, and if you needed a little bit more and there was some depth, you could actually go down to a 3/8 without even switching it around. Or if you are totally completely fine with using just 3/8, there's another head right there, and it gives you plenty of threads, and you can tighten it down again, and you can actually set the depth by a set screw inside of the disc here. This disc will twist off if you want it to. It'll come off independently. And so here you can see there's where your set screw is. It just simply provides tension against the top of this if that's what you want to do and you don't want it to move around and just be stable. I actually recommend using that. That's something that I do as well once I know what I'm going to be throwing on top. In my case, that EB52. Moving on down on the tripod, see that there's another clamp here. This is one that I did adjust on the tripod, and I know that I can't overly tighten this. If I go too far, it will crack this. It'll crack the carbon fiber because you could tighten this too much. So you're going to have to be careful about how much weight you throw on top of this. In my experience, a 7 or 8 pound pellet rifle was not too much, and then some of my PRS guns were too much. And so somewhere in the balance there, guys, 7 or 8 pounds, not a problem. Certainly it can take the pressure. It's not going to crack. The legs aren't going to crack under pressure. It's just a matter of this center column right here actually sliding down from the weight. So you can't over tighten this, but you just want it to be firm enough to hold it. And I do think it'll hold, maybe around 10-15 pounds reasonably well. Okay, so I have my Sunwayfoto TL2840CC, and one thing I like to do with tripods, especially using the SM86 head here, also a Sunwayfoto product, I like to put those together, and I hold my rifles, make it a little mobile cleaning station, and that's actually what I did right here. I like to grab a trash can so that I know that all the lead and fouling that I don't want on my hands or on the floor or somewhere else, not even on a table, just right into the trash like that. And that's a favorable place to put it. When it's nice outside and it's not below 0 or whatever it's been lately here in Minnesota, I do like to do this outside, and so I can just grab, instead of a table or needing something to come up to my level, I can just use a tripod and put it at the correct level, and I can angle it down into a trash can or outside somewhere, deposit that lead and garbage fouling in the right place, and then come back inside and do any oiling if I need to do any oiling with a rag or something. I just like to keep the vapors most of the time outside, the lead, the fouling, all that, and having a mobile cleaning station like this tripod is really useful. Now when I do this in the winter time, again, I use this tripod setup right here lately, and I'm really thankful to have these right here. If you can see that in the picture, these are the Sunwayfoto leg warmers, carbon fiber leg warmers. When it's really cold outside, stuff like that matters a lot because your fingers get cold very, very fast. So just looking over this gun, there's a lot of Sunwayfoto stuff set up here. I have a Sunwayfoto TL2840CC. That is the TL2840CC tripod. It's on an SM86 head. I have Sunwayfoto rings, and these I'm about to do a review on pretty soon here as well. I'm just noticing I have a lot of Sunwayfoto gear because it works really well. Not to mention this rail down here, this Arca rail, is also a Sunwayfoto Arca rail. Just run a lot of their gear lately. I really like it, guys.